Let's chat today about the skincare brand Exuviance. You know how I do. This is going to be a discussion of 8 products that I've been trying for the last 2 weeks. If you're more interested in the backstory of what I do, check the description box. I have all of the details there. Now, as far as the brand Exuviance goes, it's actually kind of an interesting brand. It is under the Neostrata brand. It was founded by 2 medical doctors and researchers, and the entire focus of the brand is based around chemical exfoliation. Now, when you say chemical exfoliation, it's almost kind of the, mating call of the skincare world. You yell from the top of the mountain, "I love chemical exfoliants." Suddenly 90% of our skincare addiction comes running down yelling alpha hydroxy acids, and then you've got a scattering from the beauty insider community yelling, "Good genes saved my life." I'm not wrong. But jokes aside, there really is a benefit to incorporating chemical exfoliation into your skincare routine. We know that it does reduce the appearance of the size of pores, reduces the appearance of fine lines, even deeper wrinkles, evens out the skin tone, brightens the skin. However, when you're talking about chemical exfoliation, you still do want to take a balanced approach to it and not overdo it. And that's something that kind of, from the start of this brand, had me a little bit, kind of hesitant, because almost everything in this line does use chemical exfoliators, and that's a lot of chemical exfoliation, whoa. So I'm gonna say that in my experience of using these products, I'm not overall unhappy with my skin. I think that it looks okay. I've got a couple breakouts, but such is how it goes when you deal with hormonal acne. That's much less representative of the brand. But in the end, I do think that there are 2 star products from this brand, and I'm just going to go ahead and put them first. If you're interested in the rest of the brand, it will continue through the video, but we're going to start with the 2 that I find most fascinating, and I guess kind of most central to the brand. As you can probably guess, I'm going to start this video by talking about the Performance Peel AP25. I do believe that this is Exuviance's bestseller. This is the product that most people seem to have heard of, and I think the big draw with this product is that, as it says on the box here, it is a 25% professional level AHA/PHA blend. So this retails for $77, and you get a grand total of 13 peels in here. They say you get 12 peels plus a sensitivity test peel. The idea behind this is that you are supposed to use it twice a week. You get the step 1 and you wipe it all over your clean skin. You leave it on for 10 minutes, and then you follow with the neutralizer, wipe it all over your skin again, and then rinse everything off. If I review this only from the perspective of results, I actually did like it. I found that when I used this, it didn't sting my skin much at all, if at all. But for me, I wiped it all over my face, all over my neck, on my hands, and then on my elbows. I had enough to do all of that and follow the directions, and I was actually quite pleased with how my skin was looking. And even though I do still have breakouts, yet again, this is still less than if I'm not actively taking care of my skin. So I was pleased with it from a results perspective. The problem is, and I kind of touched on this if you saw my Ulta 21 Days of Beauty sale video in which I was talking about this product. What I don't love about this product is that when you say 25% professional level AHA/PHA blend, and by that blend they're saying glycolic acid, mandelic acid, and gluconolactone, the problem here is that you don't really know what percentage of each of these is in here. When you look at their activator pad ingredients, you see that mandelic acid is the 2nd ingredient in here. So that means there is more mandelic acid than glycolic acid, which is the 3rd ingredient. But how much more? We don't know. Anything over 10% glycolic acid requires special labeling from the FDA, so I can pretty much assume that it's under 10% glycolic acid. But this begs the question, well then how effective is mandelic acid? And we don't really know. Mandelic acid hasn't been that studied. We know that it's from bitter almonds. We know that it has some kind of potential, but I guess let me try to give you an illustration. If you're trying to make some kind of a spicy dip and it calls for a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and you say, I don't have cayenne pepper, I only have chili pepper, I'll put a teaspoon of chili pepper in instead. Your dip is not going to be as hot as if you had used the teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Well, what if you put in 2 teaspoons of chili powder? It's still not going to be as hot as cayenne pepper because cayenne pepper is that much hotter. So that's my weird gray area with this product, is just this lack of knowing what you're really paying for 25%, I think that by saying this is a 25% peel, you're going to attract people who are looking for something really, really potent. But in my experience, this isn't that potent. And that's probably because it doesn't have a high concentration of glycolic acid in it. Glycolic acid is much more studied, and we do know that it, as a small molecule, penetrates the skin really deeply and can have a really strong impact on the skin. And then same deal with the gluconolactone in here. We do know that it's less effective because it is a larger molecule, but there is some research to back up that it could still be doing something good for the skin. Just how good is the question. So I guess to try to sum up my bit of a gray area with this product, I liked the results, but I feel like the 25% could be, like, I don't want to say misleading because it's pretty clear on here, but I think that it can sound more exciting than it maybe is. Exciting in the sense of, oh my gosh, a 25% peel that you can actually buy and use in your home, but it's certainly not. I don't even think this compares to the Peter Thomas Roth peel, which I've talked about in other videos. That's pretty strong. This is weaker, and I do think you're paying more money for this. But again, if you have sensitive skin, it might be worth it for you. I guess I would sum this up by saying you may end up absolutely loving this. It does have some pretty phenomenal reviews from people who love the fact that they can use a peel, see the results, and it doesn't sting their skin. But then you might hate it if you buy it thinking, I want something stronger than what Peter Thomas Roth has to offer me. You might be disappointed because I don't think it's stronger. The second product I want to talk about from Exuviance is something that I recently found. This is the Firm NG6 non-acid peel that contains 6% neoglucosamine. Neoglucosamine is another one of those phrases where you don't really know what ingredients they're referring to, because if you look at the ingredients, nothing says neoglucosamine, but we do see acetylglucosamine, which is something that's been kind of studied. I saw some studies by Procter & Gamble, who funded some research for their Olay products. It looks like it has the potential to give you the benefits of an AHA without any of the irritation that you could also experience with an AHA. And as it says on here, all the benefits of a peel without irritation. I actually really liked this. The full size of this retails for $68 for 1.7 ounces, which is certainly not too expensive for a mid-range product that is very effective. And the way that you use this is you put this on your skin, your clean skin, in an even layer. You don't need very much of this. You leave it on for about 5 to 10 minutes, kind of in the same way that you apply a retinol, and then once it's all absorbed, you follow with your moisturizer. So the way I was using this is I applied this in place of my night serum, followed with my night cream, and I was actually really pleasantly surprised at how brightened and evened out my skin tone was in the morning. I was really surprised actually, and when I went on the Ulta website, this has a very high rating. It seems to be a product where if you try it, you might actually really enjoy it. So again, out of everything that I tried, I think that this, as well as the last peel, were my favorites, but I like the price of this more. This is gonna go a lot farther for your dollar than the peel. Since this brand is so focused on exfoliation, let's talk about the Triple Microdermabrasion face polish. So this retails for $72 for 2.6 ounces, which is not too different from Dr. Brand's Microdermabrasion. Now when they say Triple Microdermabrasion, they are referring to this containing AHAs, enzymes, and a physical scrub. I was a little surprised to see that 2 researchers had come out with a physical exfoliation scrub, especially when they focus so much on chemical exfoliation, but here we are, so let's talk about it. What you are supposed to do with this is you put a thin layer on your skin, you massage it in for 30 seconds, you wait 1 to 2 minutes, and then you rinse it off. Gently, they emphasize. So the whole idea of this, the leaving it on for 1 to 2 minutes, is to get the AHAs to work their magic. You actually do need to leave AHAs on the skin, and then this gentle rubbing that you're supposed to do is giving you this, supposedly gentle physical exfoliation. Now, I do think that it can be gentle. I did notice that if I was able to massage lightly, it did not hurt my skin. But if you are at all like me and you take a little bit of a tough approach to life, it's a very fine line between gentle exfoliation and not so gentle. So with this one, it's the kind of product where I think you need to be careful. If you at all have that same tendency as I do, I probably wouldn't recommend it because that's not very good for your skin. Again, I don't have perfect skin right now. Maybe it's because I kept finding myself scrubbing too hard. It's not good. I can't say that I really loved this product because it was such a fine line between it being an acceptable level of physical exfoliation and excessively harsh. But also, that's not really the optimal use of glycolic acid. You need to leave it on a little longer than, a minute 30 seconds. So ultimately, I wouldn't recommend it. I would still say, use a gentle cleanser and use the chemical exfoliants, but you don't want to have an excess of chemical exfoliation going on your skin. Then we'll talk about the detox mask. This is $49 for 3.4 ounces. It's kind of funny. I used to get really excited about, in particular, these kind of masks that are made to sop up oiliness from your skin and hopefully, ideally, reduce the amount of breakouts that you have. But honestly, they're starting to blend together in my mind. So many of them are so similar, and I'm sure it's just because they rely on the same basic ingredients, and this has them too, including kaolin, charcoal, several clays, but then also acetylglucosamine, because you surely didn't expect Exuviance to skip out on a chemical exfoliation if they can throw it into a product. So I guess I like some things about this, and in a lot of ways I see this being similar to the Glam Glow Super Mud Mask, which also relies on this idea of using clays as well as chemical exfoliation. And they say that it's not too drying of a mask, and I kind of agree. I don't think it's as harsh as Glam Glow's is, but for me personally, as somebody who has more dry skin, I still found it a bit drying. It says on it, formulated to instantly clarify and refine pores, remove debris, toxins, and excess oil. I think that's all fine, but it's still $49, and I still feel like I found this type of treatment for less money. And again, if you're talking about chemical exfoliation, you're really getting such a heavy dose at this point that it just kind of becomes, well, maybe it's best to just stick with the peel, and if you want to use a product like this, use a product like this that doesn't also contain chemical exfoliation. Alright, then we have from the Exuviance Age Reverse Collection, the Total Correct and Sculpt Serum. This retails for $79 for an ounce. This also contains that acetylglucosamine that I think was so beneficial in the Firm NG6 non-acid peel. The problem is, this being named a serum, they were able to push the price up to about $80 an ounce, which I would say that's a standard mid-range price for a serum. So again, $79 for this one. But there's a lot of fillers in this, there's dyes in this, and I just kind of feel with this particular product, even though it's acceptable, I think that you're paying a lot more for less of the good and active ingredient that you get in that other product. So for me personally, it's just too expensive to be paying that much for cyclopentasiloxane. I would instead recommend going, what is it, the third time I've said this? The Firm NG6. Where did I come up with energy? Then we have the Evening Restorative Complex. This retails for $48 for 1.7 ounces, and of course this is your night cream. Now I actually really enjoyed this. You can see I've almost finished off my little sample tube here. There's a lot of potential in this product. It contains the gluconolactone that we talked about in the first peel. It also contains algae, which is not really all that studied, but speaking from my own personal experience, I've found that I actually really like algae in my skincare. I've noticed that it makes a difference for me. Unfortunately with this, when I was looking at the product ingredients, I was somewhere between shocked and horrified to see that there is triethanolamine in here. Now, as you guys may or may not know, I try to walk the middle path with a lot of things in life, and skincare ingredients is certainly one of them. So things like parabens, it doesn't really concern me all that much. I actually think parabens can have a good purpose. They can certainly extend the life of product. Very good preservative. A potential concern for some, and I do like to mention it, which I should have done in this video, there's a lot of parabens in these products, but that doesn't concern me. However, triethanolamine, it's pushing it a little far for me. Triethanolamine is approved for use in wash-off products. I'm not really sure why it's in this, given that maybe I was looking at the European guidelines. But I know it's been a problem ingredient for some people, and I just really don't like seeing something that can be potentially harmful in a leave-on product. If this was a wash-off product, I would be fine. So as you can see from my notes, I wrote, "Are you kidding? WTF?" So anyway, it's a miss for me, and it's really a shame. And Exuviance, if you happen to watch this video, take that ingredient out, because then I would recommend this product. $48 for 1.7 ounces of a good night cream is actually a great price. I like the ingredients. I just dislike one ingredient so much that I'm over here scribbling out WTF. All right, then we have the Targeted Wrinkle Repair. This is $68 for an ounce, and this too contains the neoglucosamine, something called Citrafil, which is, I feel like I talk about this a lot. So these are, when you see this in the description of a product, when you see them name an ingredient like that, they're actually most likely naming a grouping of ingredients with their own little patented nickname. Think of it like this. If I was making a press your eyeshadows back together with Alice's patented glyalcohol. That's actually what I used, by the way, is glycerin and alcohol to repress eyeshadows. But I mean, that doesn't mean that it's glyalcohol, it's glycerin and alcohol. So I'm pretty sure when they say Citrafil, they're talking about the silicones in this product because it's very high in silicones, which of course, when you put silicones on your skin, it does smooth them out. This also contains matrixyl peptides, which I do like to see in products. Peptides do have some very interesting research backing them up. So I'm kind of mixed on this product. It's a little hard for me to really tell you what the results for deep wrinkles are going to be. I can tell you about what it does for my fine lines on my forehead, and I did notice that when I put this on, they looked smoothed out, but I don't think it gave any kind of a lasting effect, or at least in the span of the 2 weeks. When I put this on my forehead and then, washed it off by the next day, the fine lines were back, so I kind of feel like a lot of the magic here is those silicones. The silicones just kind of go into those fine lines and make them less prominent. So I like that there's peptides in here. Again, that's something that could certainly help with the anti-aging claims, but it's still $68 for an ounce, and it's a lot of silicones. And as we broke down in the True Cost of Makeup #1 video, sorry to plug that one again, but I found this so fascinating, silicones are dirt cheap. So it's a little bit of an expensive product. And then last, we have the Intensive Eye Treatment Mask. I used 2 of these in the past 2 weeks. This retails for $49 for 12 masks. Now, I feel like I always say the same thing when we're talking about masks like this. A lot of what you end up paying for with this type of product is the extra packaging, the little pads themselves, and yet there is some reason to buy it, and that is the difference between using this and using just an eye cream is that these will lock the product into your skin and prevent it from evaporating into the air. You have that buffer, that physical buffer of the pad. And these use something called lactobionic acid, which I wish there was a little more research on. I tried my best to find more on this, but best I can find, it's mostly used in, interestingly enough, eye drops. So as far as these claims to support the skin's matrix to firm delicate eye area and diminish appearance of crow's feet, they may do that with time, but it's a very expensive product. Essentially you're paying $50 for 12 uses, 12 more potent uses than eye cream, but for me personally, I would rather spend the money on an eye cream, which I can spend $50 on a product that I can use consistently for 2 months. Alright, so that is my experience with the Exuviance brand. If you're interested in my skin before this trial, I will link my last video below so you can see how my skin is comparing. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you have tried anything from Exuviance, especially products I haven't tried, please comment your experience below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, YouTube.